Hey guys, a tactical technician in Dangerous Freedom. I went live 1 minute early just so I made sure that both of you were wrong about how long it was going to be before I went live. Yeah, Pete, we'll be going live at 9 p.m. That's right, Dangerous Freedom. You sure will. So we're going to get through what I got to get through, and I just want to say hey to everybody. There was people in here an hour before I was ready. It seemed to take me forever to get set up, guys. So, a lot of times I go into my StreamYard and I just uh, hang out there for a little while I prepare to do this show. But Flight and Defend, hey, brother. Speaking Detroit Prepping, hey, brother, I'm glad you're here, man. I'll tell you what, I've been checking out your channel, and man, I love what you do. And I'm behind you 100% in what you're trying to do uh, in our government. So I'm going to leave it to Dangerous Freedom to put the particulars in there on you, brother. But I'm glad you're here, Detroit Prepping. Thank you. I bleed American. Glad you're here. Patty Toth White, Miss Mary, Flight and Defend. Flight and Defend will be joining us Friday at 3 p.m. on Dangerous Deplorables. It'll be Dangerous Freedom and I with Flight and Defend. Philip Turner, how are you doing? Willman 757. Margot, glad you're here. People are starting to come in, so I'm just going to go ahead and ease into this a little bit, and we're going to, get through the preliminaries, and then I'm going to get into the meat of this video. But I like to always gather everybody. I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank my subs. I want y'all to hit the like button on the way in or the way out. Leave me a comment and hit the bell icon so you know when we go live. But let's see, we got this is Wednesday night, so Friday at 2 p.m. you'll have Pete the Patriot. He'll be on live at 2 p.m. and after he's done, the Dangerous Deplorables will be going live at 3 p.m. And this week we have a special guest, Flight and Defend. So it's going to be a good show Friday at 3 p.m. So check us out. And then Friday night at 9 p.m., Deplorable Bobby will be back with his regular show. Saturday night at 9 p.m., you have DM and History B. Remember DM and History B on Saturday night. And following them at 10, it normally is Knight's Armory. So keep both of those on your schedule. Sunday at 11 a.m., I have a Bible study. Then Alex comes on at 7 p.m. Disabled Vets Perspective. And then Dangerous Deplorables come on again at 8 p.m. on Sunday night. Wednesday night at 8 p.m. And then directly after me tonight will be Pete the Patriot. So y'all hang around. Hey, Sam, how you doing? 12B Georgia. Green Wave. Glad to see you. Yeah, Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. I believe that too, brother. Glad to see you, that Anunnaki one. Good to see you. I see a lot of y'all coming in. My count's not going up for me, so I don't know how many of you are in here, but I want to thank all of you. I try not to miss anyone. I saw a name there I wasn't familiar with. If I can find it again. Chat was moving sort of quick there for a minute. Well, I don't see it now. When I see it again, I promise. Green Wave, how you doing, brother? I haven't seen you, Green Wave, so good to see you in here. Sam, Anunnaki one, Fight and Defend. Oh, that's so sweet. All right, let me get back to the top here. All right, I'm going to get started. We got plenty of people in here. I'm going to tell you, I do my research on Mondays and Tuesdays for this show today, and I try to stay on top of things that are going to happen today that I haven't seen yet. But just before I came live, I talked to somebody, and I got some new information. And it's new information on Virginia. I know Virginia has been talked about by everybody. It's up and down, back and forth. You've heard it all. Let me do this one little thing here, and I'm going to be done with it because this is all I know. But it just came across right before I came live. All right, so Northam has instituted a state of emergency at the Capitol grounds and all Capitol buildings. He has made it a zero guns zone, no guns whatsoever by anyone, not even the state police. Okay. Now, we know for a fact that Antifa and MS-13, as well as Black Lives Matters and other groups, I'm not going to sit here and name off 10 or 12 names, but suffice it to say that these anti-American groups are already forming in Virginia, and they're waiting on our patriots to get there on the 20th. And you know, they're going to unarm the state troopers. Can you believe that? But here's the good part. Come Monday, according to my sources, come Monday, the sheriffs and the sheriff's deputies in all of these sanctuary counties and cities will no longer be employed by the county or the state of Virginia. The sheriffs have already started, and they have already gotten their deputies on board, as well as patriotic Americans like you and I, legal gun owning Americans that know how to use a weapon. He has deputized all of them into the militia, and it's statewide. This isn't something I'm just feeding you a line of bull about. Come Monday, these officers will no longer be employed, according to these sheriffs. They'll no longer be employed, and they have already began the well-organized militia that the Constitution calls for. See, the Constitution says that we have the right to keep and bear arms and to have a well-organized militia. The last thing we need are a bunch of gun-toting Americans, patriots or not. We don't need them going out and starting running battles on the streets. I think it's honorable that the sheriff is doing this. And he's organized a well-organized militia. So our part in this would be to get in touch with those sheriffs or those people and to join that militia and to obey the rules and go by whatever the rules the militia puts out, because a well-organized militia simply means that it has organization and it's functional. So, and that's what we need to be, is functional. We don't need to be, running crazy, shooting people, and all this kind of crazy stuff. We need to be well organized. We need to be able to do what we need to do with the least amount of casualties. Because it's going to come to that. I mean, we've already got Antifa and MS-13 and these other people up there waiting. So I'm going to leave you with that on Virginia. And I'm sure you'll hear more about it tonight and for the next several days, probably. Pardon me. Tonight, I want to talk about one individual. I want to talk about a Bernie Sanders supporter. And I'm just going to read it to you, and I'm going to let you listen, and you think about what I'm saying. Iowa field organizer Kyle Jarek has been caught on camera promising violence against police officers and general destruction. Get this, if Bernie Sanders fails to secure the nomination for president at the Democratic National Conference in Milwaukee. It gets worse. Jarek is calling for Trump supporters to be thrown in gulags. Now, I've heard the word gulag all my life, but I never really knew what a gulag was until I read this and I had to look it up. And what that is forced labor and forced re-education, much the way that Hitler did in Hitler Germany. So he's wanting to put us into gulags, forced labor and re-education camps, paid for, get this, it's going to be paid for by the free education plan of Sanders. Remember his free education plan? And he says what it amounts to is it's a socialist re-education effort. So these socialists, if Bernie Sanders is elected, he is going to re-educate us. He's going to teach us not to be Nazis. Come on. Jurek said he was eager to get his revolution underway. He said because some people need to be outright executed where they stand. Now, this man is a field organizer for the Bernie campaign in Iowa. Okay? Jurek was already paid $10,000 by the Sanders campaign between July and September. So he is a paid employee of Bernie Sanders. All right, the fourth quarter hasn't come in yet, so we don't know what he was paid in the fourth quarter. But Jurek says if Bernie doesn't get the nomination, or if it goes to a second vote, Milwaukee will burn. Now, do you hear the words that I'm saying? If I called somebody up and I said these words to them over a telephone and they called the cops, I would already be in jail. Jurek says that he and Bernie supporters have absolutely nothing to lose. Say if Bernie's not elected, then they have nothing to lose. Sanders supporters believe that the superdelegates and the second round of voting, and see, that's something else I don't understand with the DNC. They have these super delegates. What in the world is that? Super delegates. They can't vote in the first round, but they can vote in the second round. So the delegates in the second round of voting would choose, get this, they'd choose creepy, uncle, pedophile Joe Biden over Sanders, and sidelining Sanders will definitely lead to violence across America, not just in Milwaukee, says Jurek. Jurek says that if Bernie does not get the nomination in the first round of voting, Milwaukee will burn, and it won't be just in Milwaukee. Now, how's this guy still on the streets? Well, guess what? In a few minutes, you'll find out something about that. Jurek says the mayhem will start in Milwaukee, but if police push back, other cities will explode in violence, mainly against the conservatives and the liberals, because the liberals or the conservatives, neither one, backed Bernie. It says the cops will be beaten down in Milwaukee. They'll be made ineffective. They'll be made worthless. They're going to try to have to call in the National Guard, but Jurek said by the time they do that, it will be too late because the damage is already done. People, do you hear what this guy is saying? And this is a field organizer for the Bernie campaign. Jurek has laid out a Soviet-style plan to deal with opponents of his policy ideals. Okay, so he's already got it figured out what he's going to do, because he's not just against we patriots, we American Constitution, God-loving, family-protecting patriots. He's also against the liberals. He's against anybody that is not a socialist, anybody who does not vote for Bernie Sanders. We'll read that again. Jurek laid out an act Soviet-style plan to deal with opponents of his policy ideas. Jerry said, do what Cuba did. Just line them up on the beach and shoot them all. That's what they did in Cuba back in the, I don't know, it was 60s, I don't remember. But he said some Trump supporters cannot be re-educated, so these people will certainly die. Field organizer for Bernie Sanders saying this. Jurek says that this is the whole idea of free education for everybody, and that's how it looks. This is what free education looks like in America. We're going to re-educate you. We're going to teach you what you're supposed to believe and what you're supposed to learn. And we're going to teach you not to be a Nazi or you're going to die. Plain and simple. That's what the man says. Gulags were some of the most savage methods of eliminating opponents or anyone found to be an inconvenience. You know, torture and death are common in the gulags, as well as starvation. They love to starve you to death. They like to see you wither away to nothing. They like to see you die a slow, agonizing death. Jurek made it clear that most liberals, as well as conservatives, as I said, will be in the camps together, if not killed outright. Jurek said the rich, as well as the mainstream media pundits, will be dragged into the streets and burned to death. So now he's not just talking to the conservatives and the liberals. Now he's talking to the rich and he's talking to the mainstream media. So they don't like none of us. See, this is what happens when you have radical socialism. According to Jurek, liberals get put against the wall first before a firing squad. Antifa will be the military arm of the Socialist Party under President Bernie Sanders, along with MS-13, the 18th Street Gang, and other criminal organizations. Jurek himself defends Antifa's violence. He says that it's free speech and it has consequences. So keep your mouth shut and do as you're told, and maybe you'll survive. That's what he said. So keep your mouth shut and do what you're told. Do you hear that, patriots? That's what this Bernie field organizer is telling us to do. Paid field organizer for Bernie Sanders. Everyone against Antifa will be targeted as a fascist or a Nazi. If you believe in God and only two sexes, then you're surely going to die. Jurek also said that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's bandwagon over carbon emissions that will destroy a whole civilization is one of the things we really need to worry about. So what are we going to have now? Now we're going to have these radical crazies, MS-13, 18th Street Gang, and Antifa, and all these other thug organizations. They're going to bundle up there with AOC, and now she's going to jump on their bandwagon and bring her radical 4 women of the apocalypse with her: Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib, Annie Ann Presley, but she's not even worth mentioning. But I'll tell you, AOC needs to worry. Just to jump off topic for a second, she needs to worry. She's not doing so well. She's not doing so well with her colleagues, and she's not doing so well in her district. As a matter of fact, there's a big chance, I read today, they're going to redistrict parts of New York City and Brooklyn and Queens and the Bronx and all of the boroughs. They're going to redistrict them. And they're talking about doing away with her district altogether. So see, even though we have a good Republican that's going to run against her, that district may not exist a year from now. So if it doesn't exist, we will have no Alexandria Ocasio Horseface Cortez to worry about anymore. And I'll tell you what, I'm sick of talking about her, so we're going to something else. I want to talk a little bit about what Jurek said about January 8th, 2020. Here's what he had to say. He says, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please let me go. Don't lock me up. Well, on January 8th, 2020, Jurek was arrested on probation violations, no insurance, possession of drug paraphernalia, and DUI, his second offense in 6 months. So you see, sometimes you can't pick the people up for what they say because they have free speech in America. Do you see what I'm saying? This man can say these things publicly and get away with it because we, as American patriots, live and die for family, God, and the Constitution. We stand firm on our Constitution, and we give everybody the right to free speech, no matter what it is you're saying, even if we don't like it. That is what free speech is. And right here, I just read to you pure hate that came out of this man and was published for all to read and for all to hear. So you tell me where this man's free speech was impeded. It wasn't. He said everything that he wanted to say. So now what do? We need to say what we need to say. You know, Jurek believes that all billionaires and people of privilege must lose the idea that they are superior. After taking all possessions from the rich people, either kill them or put them into breaking big rocks into little rocks for 12 to 18 hours a day. See, that's what he wants to do with the rich people. He wants to put them at hard labor for 12 to 18 hours a day. So, see, this guy's got a really good brain on his head. This guy's got it going on. And he's a field organizer for Bernie Sanders. I don't want you to forget that for a minute. Because Jurek says the only thing that we American patriots, we fascists, understand is death and violence, and he and his Antifa buddies will dole out the punishment and the executions to all people who do not support Bernie, no matter if you're a Republican or a demon rat. So you see, here we go. We're being dictated to from an Antifa thug. It just so happens to be a field organizer in Iowa for Bernie Sanders. Wonder how that happened. But you see, that's the problem. We don't need the Socialist Party. We're not going to allow the Socialist Party to take hold in America. Socialism, as President Trump said, will never rule in America. We will never be a socialist country. We won't allow it. We will take up arms. We will do what is needed to be done. We're not going to play these stupid little silly games like they're trying to play in Virginia with our Second Amendment. Those people in Virginia are fixing to find out hard and rough what it's all about to be taken down, because they're not going to survive it. They may survive it physically, but he's already mentally running for cover. I'm going to tell you this, Ralph Northam, don't you think for a minute he's not running scared right now. He's got sheriffs and he's got deputies. He's got Americans. He's got patriots. He's got everybody against him. Everybody's against him, so he outlaws all guns anywhere around the Capitol or the Capitol grounds or any of the buildings around the Capitol. Yeah, no guns. Y'all can't come in here because y'all going to kill me. He's scared to death. I guarantee you, he's scared to death because he can't trust anybody, because he knows that the police, the military, the patriots, we are all gun loving, God fearing American family people. And we're going to fight for this country, and we're going to stand on our Constitution. We're going to stand on our First Amendment because we have the Second Amendment. And because we have the Second Amendment, we can freely speak. We can freely protest. We can go there on the 20th in Virginia. I'm sorry that I can't be there, but I have a lot of friends and brothers that will be there. And I'll tell you what, my hat's off to those guys. I pray for them every night for their safety and that they get done what they need to do in Virginia on the 20th. But the roll has started with the ball. The ball has already began to roll. It started on Monday when they passed all this crazy stuff in Virginia. In Georgia, where I live, we're having some problems. So let me bounce a couple of things off of you that's going on around here. In Georgia, the House of Representatives have filed legislation targeting any future law that would require those who are found to be a threat to themselves or other to surrender their weapons. Did you hear what I said? They're targeting any future laws that look like red flag laws. Red flag laws are a means of confiscating our guns, and all it takes is a judge to deem us a threat. They don't have to know us. They don't have to like us. The cops don't have to know you, because your wife, your girlfriend, the guy at the grocery store, the bag boy, service station attendant, somebody turns you in. And once you're turned in, it's almost always approved to confiscate your guns, because there is no justice. But red flag laws violate all due process. See, there is no due process in red flag laws. None. Your guns are taken away on the word of a person to another person to another person, and which is whoever turns you in, the cops and the judge. So you see, it's a real quick process. They're going to take your guns. No way around it. But red flag laws violate all due process rights guaranteed by our Constitution. And you see, we have to always remember that we patriots abide by the Constitution. We do that, we can't go wrong. Under the Georgia bill, any legislation or executive order intended to confiscate our guns will not be enforced in Georgia by law enforcement. Did you hear that? That means if federally they pass a bill, we're not going to abide by it. Georgia says no. You're not going to bring your red flag laws here, no matter what you want to do. Georgia House Bill 751 says anyone, to include police officers, who try to enforce a red flag law will be charged with a felony and will serve up to 3 years in prison and a fine of $5,000. Did you hear what I just said? I don't live in a constitutional carry state like Dangerous Freedom out there in Arizona. I don't have that liberty. I do have my concealed carry, and I carry a weapon everywhere I go. And I usually carry it on my hip, and I usually carry it in plain sight. I don't hide it. I don't care if they know I've got a gun. I've got a lock and holster. They can't pull it out. If you don't know how to unlock it, you can't even get the gun out. But it's just a push of the finger. They just don't know about that. But these executive orders, it doesn't matter what they do. Georgia has just said that they are not going to enforce any red flag laws. Georgia is a great place to live. I'll tell you, with things like that House Bill 751, it's getting better all the time. Dems filed a House Bill 435 to allow police and regular citizens to petition a judge to remove guns from anyone. There you go. It's a red flag law. It's looking like we have another constitutional showdown. See, so everything that we do pro Second Amendment, they come at us all over again. And here we have to go through the whole thing. It's crazy. Supporters of red flag laws say we need to give law enforcement more tools for them to confiscate your guns under the guise of that the police are just doing their job. See, the police need to stand up and they need to stop. They need to stop enforcing these red flag laws. Just because somebody makes a report to them, police have discretion. How many times have you been pulled over and the cop said, well, you did this or you did that, but I'm just going to give you a warning and let you go. Well, why don't we do that? Why don't we do that with these red flag laws? Just tell the cops to ignore them. When somebody calls up and said, oh, so-and-so is crazy. Well, so what? Yeah, go by. If you see the guy sitting there watching football, drinking a beer, eating pretzels, leave him alone. But if you see some guy running around there half naked with his eyes bugged out and his face turned blue, yeah, do something. But stop harassing normal American people. I mean, there's ways to do this without being so invasive. But as Virginia goes on, and I keep going back to that, Lord, I don't know what's going to happen up there and how that's going to affect the rest of the world. In reality, we need to push back on the state and federal government and just tell them that we're not going to comply with their red flag laws, just like the state of Georgia did. And I'll tell you what, I'm proud of my state for doing that. I saw that and I thought, well, that's a good deal. I knew I had a good governor when we got Brian Kemp. Oh, and get this now. There's a big push now to release all these ICE detainees. Lawmakers called for ICE to release all transgender illegal immigrants detained by ICE anywhere in America. Can you believe that? So now if you're a transgender or illegal immigrant, you get released. I'm sorry, guys, but lawmakers say that transgender migrants and asylum seekers are especially vulnerable, bless their hearts, to sexual harassment, solitary confinement. Oh my goodness. They don't like being with themselves, I guess. Physical assault. Well, of course, they can't keep their hands off of other people. And medical neglect. Yeah, probably so. But we got a Democrat in Illinois by the name of Mike Quigley. He's leading the effort to release all transgender prisoners, no matter what their crime is. Doesn't matter if you're a murderer, a rapist, a child abuser, child murderer. We got to release them all. Dems argue that ICE has failed to comply, get this, with a 2015 ICE memo which says transgender people get special treatment. Look, I'm about fed up to here with transgender people. They're 2% of our population, less than 2%, about 1.5% of our population. But yet they're dictating to America, to us, to those American, God-loving American patriot people who love this country, and we're being slapped in the face with this kind of stuff. And this Mike Quigley from Illinois, just another demon rat trying to stir the pot. But you know, just because they had a 2015 memo, that doesn't sound to me like it was an order. The memo says transgenders are protected and prison personnel, oh, get this, they must have sensitive awareness training. Oh my goodness. ICE has also limited detention of transgenders, more special treatment for the bottom 1% of our nation. See, special treatment. That's all they want is special treatment. I'll tell you what, God made two sexes. If you think there's more than two sexes, God love you, and I do too. But boy, you got a problem. Quigley says that no ICE facility has obeyed the memo, so all transgenders in custody must be released. That's all we need. A bunch of transgenders running around, fresh out of prison, nowhere to go, no job, nowhere to hide. My goodness. And it all goes down to looking at what we expect. You know, we expect to hear this stuff all the time from the left, socialist, progressive, Satanist, baby killing demon rats about the patriotic rally that we got going on the 20th. These people have a lot to say, but they're not saying it very loud. These evil dams are calling us gun extremists backed by radical out-of-state militia groups. Wow, how about that? See, right off the bat, we're going to be called evil just because we're gathering to support our Second Amendment rights under the Constitution in the state of Virginia. That we are extremists. We're white extremists. We're neo-Nazis. We're all of those things. And we're backed by radicals from all over America, not just in Virginia. They say we patriots will descend like locusts on Virginia and on the Virginia General Assembly. Can you imagine that? We're going to descend like locusts. Yeah, we're just going to go running in there with guns blaring, shooting everybody. They're trying to instill fear. I guess that's because Northrum is scared totally to death. You know, I think that we will definitely intimidate the lawmakers, you know, because they reject common sense gun safety laws that the people have voted on. And so now here they're going to be faced with all these patriots. I'm not saying armed patriots. I don't know. I won't be there. I wished I could be. I'm keeping my eye on it, and so is everyone else. And I'm sure President Trump is also watching. He said nothing, and I've thought about that a little bit. You know, why has President Trump not come out and said anything about Virginia and this new gun law? It's almost like it's hands off. I don't want anything to do with it. But I guarantee you, he has ears on the ground and eyes on the ground, and he knows what's going on in Virginia. And I'm sure he has a plan. I hope he has a plan. He's the only one that can keep this country from going into total revolution. I'm not talking about a civil war. I'm not talking about one side against the other. There may be some of that, but I'm talking about a revolution against our government. So he's going to have to be on top of this. And if he's not on top of it, woe be unto him and woe be unto us. Because this situation can get out of hand really quick. Pray for our patriots that are going to this event on the 20th. You know, they say we patriots will descend like locusts. Can you imagine that? Maybe we will. I've heard there could be as many as 30 to 50,000 patriots there. I'm sure that's going to scare Northam to death. But, you know, racist and baby killing Virginia Governor Ralph Northam says that Virginia citizens overwhelmingly support his attack on our Second Amendment. I guess that's why over 100 of the 133 cities and counties have already became sanctuary Second Amendment counties. So you see, he's talking through his head. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's just like Adam Schiff. He opens his mouth, he spews lies. We do know one thing, that he's a racist and he's a baby killer, and we know that to be sure because he said that he would kill babies after birth, and we know that he was in a photo from college, either in blackface or in the KKK hood. It doesn't matter which one you are. He won't admit to which one. He does admit he's in the photo, but he won't say which one he is. So who cares? You're guilty, Northam. You're a racist and you're a baby killer, and we know that to be a fact. And now you want to be a Second Amendment killer, and you're scared to death because you overstepped your Volkswagen butt with your Cadillac mouth. So let's see what happens to you, Ralph Northam. I'll tell you what, brother, I've always hated Hillary Clinton. I'm going to tell you what, I despise her among all people. But I'll tell you what, you and Adam Schiff run a dang close second. I'd like to line all three of you up. Wouldn't take but one round. Boom, 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 all three of you. You're worthless. You're no good. You're evil. And Northam, I don't care if you hear me or not. Just like I've said about Hillary Clinton and John Podesta and all these other pedophiles and pedivores. If you don't like what I'm saying, sue me. Take me to court. Give me the opportunity for my attorneys to have discovery on your butts. No, you'll be like Epstein. You'll be in prison somewhere and you'll wind up dead. Isn't that funny how that happens? Oh, but I forgot. Yeah, Hillary will have to be out of prison. Well, she could probably have it done from prison before she's done in. And I don't want to know, any of the details. I just want to know why she's not in Gitmo. Why is not Obama in Gitmo and John Kerry? Let's go ahead and get the Podesta brothers while we're at it, and go ahead with Comey and Clapper and Brennan and Strzok and Page and Lois Lerner and all the rest of these. Why are they not in jail? They're all traitors. He thinks that Virginia citizens overwhelmingly support him. I'm talking about Ralph Northam, the governor. And they support his attack on our Second Amendment, like I said, but we as gun lovers and gun extremists, I'm going to call us that because that's what he calls us, extremists, are a small minority who will lose our guns and freedom and possibilities of death. This is what Ralph Northam, the governor, says. I'm going to read that whole paragraph one more time. The racist, baby-killing Virginia Governor Ralph Northam said citizens overwhelmingly support his attack on our Second Amendment. And we gun extremists are a small minority who will lose our guns and our freedom and possibly die. Now, what kind of talk is that coming from a governor? Does that sound like he's looking for trouble? Does that sound like he thinks he's cock of the walk? Does he think he's still in college and still barking out orders to his frat house? Come on, man, you're a governor now, and you're fixing to see stuff you ain't never seen before. It's going to happen and I can't stop it. I wouldn't if I could. I believe great things are going to happen. They're either going to be great things or terrible things in the next week or two to come. So let's keep our eye on Virginia and Kansas while you're at it. Virginia's Attorney General says the Second Amendment sanctuaries are unconstitutional and carry no legal weight, so they're useless. They're not worth the paper they're written on. These counties are undermining law enforcement responsibilities and create a dangerous environment for Virginia's citizens, as well as people wanting to hurt themselves. See, remember, we're talking about red flag laws. The Anti Defamation League is fear mongering. It's warning of a white supremacist militia movement wanting to cause chaos and terror across America. That's what they're wanting you to believe. They believe that on the 20th, that's exactly what's going to happen. That the white supremacist militia movement is wanting to cause chaos, terror, and fear. That's not what we're doing. We patriotic American gun owners are just violent, we're hate-filled, and we're a deadly group of people. And we're coming to Virginia, it says, on the 20th. We hope that with hopes of violence and death leading to a revolutionary war and possibly civil war. Governor Northam says that Virginia is ready to face the legions. Did you hear that? Northam is ready to face the legions of heavily armed out-of-state protesters who are in Virginia on the 20th to cause trouble and engage in an armed rebellion against the state. So now Northam is calling this rally on the 20th, rally for the Second Amendment rights in Virginia. So now it's an armed rebellion. See, he's already setting the stage for conflict. He's calling it an armed rebellion. That's why he's took the guns away from the sheriffs. That's why he took the guns away from the state police. The only people that will have any guns in Virginia are going to be the National Guard. Everybody else's guns are supposed to be vacant and turned in. It even said that the state troopers can't carry weapons on Capitol grounds. They're ready to face the legions of heavily armed out-of-state protesters that are in Virginia to cause trouble and engage in armed rebellion against the state, which Northam says is unconstitutional. Imagine that. Northam actually said the word unconstitutional. I didn't think he knew what the word meant. He is the most unconstitutional individual I've ever heard of. But you know, not only are the patriots supporting this movement in Virginia, the NRA has been supportive of this January 20th rally. They've been really supportive, and the NRA executives, two of them are scheduled to speak at this event on the 20th. So the NRA is involved. I know the NRA has caught a lot of flack lately. Everybody's going to Guns of America. You know, I don't know. I don't want to get into the politics of it, and that's why I walked away from the NRA. I just don't want to get into all this political stuff. You know, Guns of America sounds like the way to go for me. But right now, we have to worry about the NRA is involved in this rally, and they're going to have speakers at the events. And so the NRA has put up many billboards in the state warning of gun confiscation laws. So you see, the NRA has been active in Virginia, and they put up a lot of billboards, and they're telling people, hey, they're trying to take your guns. Don't let them take your guns. And they're backed up by God fearing, God loving, family loving American patriots like Douglas Ducote, American Joe, Disabled Vets Perspective, and the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of other patriots that I either know or have heard of that will be there among the thousands. Among the thousands. My prayers go out to them. I want everybody here to pray for those people. Pray for those men that are going to be there on the 20th. Believe it or not, they're doing this for us, not just for themselves and not just for show. We don't know what's going to happen on the 20th, but your prayers are desired. If for no other reason, because I ask you, pray for these guys that are going up there. They're literally walking into the unknown. We don't know what Northram's capable of, and we don't know what's going to happen. But I was talking about the NRA, and they've been accused of overheated rhetoric about the Second Amendment, protecting your rights and to rise up against a tyrannical government. That's why we have the Second Amendment. Even in Virginia, the state flag has a patriot with his foot on the throat of a tyrant. That's the state flag. Imagine this is happening in Virginia, who has a tyrant being stomped on the neck by a patriot on the flag of that state. And here we have this tyrant wannabe, Ralph Northam, trying to rise up with his tyrannical government, telling us what we can and what we can't do, what we can have and can't have. After gun confiscation, what's next? What's next after gun confiscation? There goes your Fifth Amendment. There goes your First. There goes all of them. They all go out the window. Because without the Second Amendment, you wouldn't have all the rest. The Second Amendment is what gives us the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. That Second Amendment to the Constitution is what gives us the Constitution. If we didn't have that in our Bill of Rights of the Constitution, we would not have a nation. I said a while ago, over 100 cities and counties in Virginia have already joined the Sanctuary County Second Amendment deal. So we've got a lot of good going on in Virginia, but we've got a lot of fear coming, I'm afraid. I don't think that our patriots are going to be fearful. I think that the fearful people are already there. They're in place. They're in Richmond. They're probably under armed guard, really heavy right now. And I'm talking about all of the Senate, all of the House, and Ralph Northam. He's taking away the guns from everybody within the government complex, even the state troopers. Now, I've been to the state capitol many times, and every time I go, I see state troopers in the capitol, and they're armed. Not to mention the guards, the Capitol Police, that they're armed. So what is Northam going to do now? He's going to keep the state troopers, the sheriffs, the city police, everybody without a gun, keep them out, no guns. And the only people that will have guns, Capitol Police? I don't know. If not the Capitol Police, then he's going to call in the Guard. So people, pray. I know I've got a couple of minutes left, but other than saying hey to Raymondo 11, PDX Scout, Lynn M, Tony Patriot, Gary Holland, Anunnaki the One. Let's see if I can go back up a little piece. American Warhorse, glad to see you, brother. I was going to call you today, but I heard you were already busy tonight. Cheshire Cat, Kevin Moore, Fan 33, Harley Rob Patriot, Gary Holland, 12B Georgia, Lynn M. And I'll tell you what, guys, I appreciate y'all being here. Let's see, Harley Rob Patriot, I said that. And 12B Georgia, I'm always happy to see you, brother. Tony Patriot, yeah, you're right, Mr. Blackface himself. Okay, everybody, when I'm done here, I'm going to go ahead and sign off here in just a minute because I really, hey, Amy O, good to see you. Haven't talked to you in a while. Call me sometime. Lynn M and PDX Scout. Jump down to the newest comments here right quick. Coffee with CC, Vince Dunn. Good to see you guys. PDX Scout, Tony Patriot, Fight and Defend. I know Fight and Defend will be with us Friday at 3 p.m. on Dangerous Deplorables, right here on Deplorable Bobby channel. Dangerous Freedom and I are trying to kick this little thing off. We're taking it slow. And we do a live stream on Friday at 3 p.m. and Sunday night at 8 p.m. called Dangerous Deplorables. And we talk about all kinds of good stuff, guns, prepping, Second Amendment, you name it. We talk about it. So check us out Friday at 3 p.m. Fight and Defend will be our guest at 3 p.m. on Friday. So y'all do that, and I'm going to get out of here. Lynn and Fight and Defend, Linda Horner, Coffee with CC, Tony Patriot, my brother. Remember Tony Patriot on Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Plus, he's doing these grow channels. I'm not getting the notifications, Tony. I've went back and I've unsubscribed and resubscribed, and I'm still not getting notifications on when you go live. So need to do something about that. I don't know what we're going to do. Patty Toth White, the Anunnaki One, Cheshire Cat. All right, I'm going to get out of here, y'all. I'm going to let y'all have it. You got about 3 minutes to go get a Coke or a beer or a cup of coffee, and then jump right over to Pete the Patriot. He's coming up next. So always, to be respectful, I want to get out of here before 9 p.m. to give everybody time to transfer over. Go over and see Pete the Patriot. He's got a good show coming up tonight. So go visit Pete. Tell him I sent you, or tell him you came from here, or whatever. But let him know that I'm talking him up and I'm supporting him. So everybody, I'm going to get out of here. My name's Deplorable Bobby. This is the way I see it, and I want you to know that I appreciate each and every one of you. If you aren't subscribed, please subscribe. Hit the like button on your way out if you hadn't already. And I'll talk to y'all Friday at 3 p.m. with Dangerous Freedom, Dangerous Deplorables on the Deplorable Bobby channel at 3 p.m. We'll see you there. Don't forget, Fight and Defend will be joining us. Y'all have a good night.